Hi, welcome to another edition of Legal Quilts. We made it. We're on the very last step. We're going to be sewing these sections together. And as you can see, each, where we put them together, each melon and arc and big curve piece, that's one section. So how are we going to lay them out? You turn them, okay? You're going to take your four sections and you're going to turn it so that the big curve points in, and then you've got these, you've got your end pieces at the upper and lower corners. And same thing over here. You're going to take the next one, but you want your corner pieces to meet, all right? See how your corner pieces meet, and you've got the background piece here together. And then you're going to do the same thing for the next two pieces. See? Okay. Step back a little bit so you can see it. And then the next one just slots in. So you see you have this big piece where they're going to come together for the background here, but your end pieces all match. Now, if you look at the directions, somehow they managed to make so that this end piece would be a light one, and this would be light, and this would be dark, and this would be dark, or flip-flop. So basically he had a four patch coming together. Doesn't matter here. And personally, if you step back and look at it, or you look at the opening picture on this video, I really like how the end pieces, being the same fabric, come together. They really tie the ring together and make it a little the focal point, and I kind of like that, all right? Ignore the fact that this one's a little puffy here. I think I know what went wrong. So this is less than perfect, but it is what it is, okay? And now we're just going to sew it together, all right? I'll be right back once I get my machine set up. All right, so you've laid out your piece, your block, and then you're just going to take your two pieces. Doesn't matter which ones you do, okay? You're going to take two of them, okay? Making sure your corner pieces match up here, all right? You really want to make sure that happens. Flip one over on top of the other, all right? Doesn't really matter. Flip it over. Match up your corners here. See how your corner matches there? Your corner matches here, okay? And you're just going to sew that. All right. So these are your top two pieces, and you're just going to sew that with the 1/4 inch seam allowance. Quarter inch seam allowance. Right. So you've got background on background, end piece on end piece, and just sew. Okay. Hope you're actually getting a good view of the sewing, but again, it's just the 1/4 inch seam allowance like everything else, all right? And you're going to sew this together. And when you finish that, so that's the top two. See how that comes together, and you can start seeing how that background piece is coming together here, and you've got your background here. And you're going to do the same thing with the next two, making sure now this time your end pieces match over here and your background but you sew background to background again. So you've got your backgrounds out here, or your end pieces out here, background here, end piece down here at the bottom. All right, and again, you just sew it. 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now this you are going to be sewing onto your arc a little bit. I think I cut that one a little closely. Maybe normally you wouldn't. We're going to talk about some of the mistakes I made at the end and what I'm going to do to correct them in the future. not the end of the world. Really not. So then you've got this one done, all right? Again, up here is where you're going to have the center. And then you just take, you've got your two pieces, the top two sewn together, the bottom two sewn together. Flip the top onto the bottom. Match your end piece here and your end piece here with this in the middle. You want your seam to match pretty much in the middle. I'm not sure how you want to do your, you've got a seam right here. I like to lock them where one goes this way and one goes that way. You can sew them open. I don't really like to do that. I think it weakens the seam, but you can lock them one way or the other. Okay, and just match your ends here. Oops, there we go. I kind of know what I did wrong here, and I bet you can figure out what I did wrong too. All right, but it still matches and everything works, and I think it came out okay. And you just sew that 1/4 inch down, your 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way along. It'll take a minute. And again, you're going to be sewing a little bit as you get to the end. Oh, those pieces are small. Oh, by the way, you notice I said we were going to hand sew this whole thing and we're doing this on the machine? Yeah, I decided to cheat. You can hand sew this piece. Again, it's the same thing. You would just flip them over, hand sew it, hand sew two sections together, flip one on the other, and hand sew it. But honestly, sewing the blocks together, I think at that point you want to, sewing the sections together to make the block, it's okay to machine sew. If you don't have a machine, your machine is difficult, just hand sew it like you've done everything else. I mean, this is just a straight stitch at that point. So you can go back to see how else you how to hand sew, but it's just a straight seam along there. So yeah, I decided this part would be machine sewn. But there you go. Let me turn this a little bit so that you can get a better view of that, all right? Let me just get that set up for you for a second. All right, but it's all sewn together. There we go. All right. And there you have it. It's all sewn together in one large block. You can see this big centerpiece here that in other patterns I've seen, that was one big piece. You made like, you sewed the arcs here and then you sewed this. I like this so much better because you're working with much smaller pieces. And I see this is coming loose up here because there just wasn't enough to sew that on. That's something that if you were making, that's something that you can fix right away, or you can just have it get caught in the seam allowance if like you were making more of these and you're making a block, or if you were going to make a pillow, that would still just get caught in the seam allowance as you sewed the backing on. So it's not a big deal, all right? But I think I know what I did wrong in a couple of places. One, I had problems with the arcs, getting the same size, even though I had a template and I was cutting around them. I had a little trouble getting the same size. The other thing was when I cut these, when I cut the big curves especially, I think kind of with the smaller curves too, I had the fabric doubled over, so especially with these, they were flipped. And I think that made a little bit of a difference. You can see how they're kind of puffy in some places, although, yeah, you can see that's got a big puff right there. I think that had a lot to do with it, between the difference in the arcs and then having some of the pieces flipped. I think that made a big difference in the sewing. So when I do this again, because I'm going to, I had so much fun doing this that I would love to do this again. Especially making the arcs, all the hand sewing stuff was ever so much fun. that what I would do is get this set up on my Cricut to cut the pieces, to cut the arcs, and to cut all the melons and the big curves. The big curves and then these pieces. I would get the I would get that set up on the Cricut so it wouldn't be cutting two at a time, so it wouldn't be flipped like I did. And I think that would make a huge difference, just having more uniform pieces, not having them flipped. But I got to get that set up for my Cricut, which would actually involve having my niece do it. Hi, niece. And she's a little busy, so I don't want to ask her right away. But I would love to, yes, sometimes she watches it. This is why I said hi to her. But I would love to do this again. This is something I always thought, no, I can't do a wedding ring piece. There's too much. It wasn't that bad. We broke it up really a lot. We did. But that's what's so cool about it, is you could just do all the arcs or do a bunch of arcs, and then when you had time, sew some melons on or sew some curved pieces on, and then when you had time, sew them all together on the machine. So and like I said, it's portable, it's fun, I love it. I am going to make more of these. I don't know if it's going to be scrappy. I might stick with scrappy. This is going to be its own piece, though. It's not going to go in anything else because of all the mistakes. But that's okay. We all make mistakes, and we learn from them. And that's the thing you have to remember. No quilt police. It's supposed to be fun, and I had a ton of fun making this, and I had a ton of fun teaching y'all about this. So that's it for the wedding ring, the scrappy wedding ring block. I'm so glad we did this. We're not going to have one in 2 weeks. I have some stuff going on, and let's take a break from summer. And then Labor Day weekend, we're going to have Scrap Summer Roundup, where I have some great things to talk to you about. And we're going to kick off Work in Progress Winter at the same time. So I will not see you in 2 weeks. I'll see you in 3 weeks. In the meantime, remember, no quilt police. Have fun. Quilting's supposed to be fun. Also, subscribe. You can hit the little bell to get notifications. Don't forget to share this video and all my other videos. Comment on the stuff. Hit that like button. Please hit that like button. Watch. Get your friends to watch. Get your family to watch. Everything. If you want to support me doing more videos, you can go to my Ko-fi website. The link will be in the show notes. Or you can go to my Ko-fi site or my website. Both links will be in the show notes. Until next time, Labor Day weekend, have fun, quilt away, and I'll see you next time.